So Doria invited me to this originally and sent me the email saying about Mother's Day, and so I started thinking about my mother. She was a teacher for about 30 years in Boston. So I'm 10 years old and I'm snooping around the house for Christmas presents. I'm not supposed to be doing this, I know this, and I'm like, okay, so I'm snooping around. I go into the spare bedroom, I open up the closet, no Christmas presents. I close the closet door and something falls off the ledge above the door. I jump about 10 feet in the air because I'm like, somebody caught me. I look down on the ground, and there's a switchblade. And I'm going, at 10 years old, I've read about these, I've seen them in movies, and I'm going, why is there a switchblade in our house? And I'm going, okay, maybe it's my brother. My brother's 9 years older than me, and somewhat of an idiot. And not to put too fine of a point on it, actually, that might be an insult to idiots. And I'm going, maybe my parents found it and took it away from them. Okay, of course, I'm going, I can just ask Mom or Dad. And then I go, no, I can't, because they're going to want to know why. I was looking around, I'm like, oh, all right. So I put it back up. Thank God being tall my whole life came through. And it's a week before Christmas, and between my two grandmothers who live on the opposite ends of the state, life is hectic. I forget about it. It doesn't even cross my mind again. 3 years later, we're moving from Norwood to Somerville, where my family's been for most of the years. We're the weird people who lived outside of it. And I'm cleaning off the walls, getting ready to paint, and I knocked this thing flying off the top shelf of the little mantle above the door jamb. And my mother and godmother are there, and I turn to her, and it comes back to me. I'm like, oh, I remember this. It's been 3 years. Wow. I go, Mom, what's up with this? And she goes, oh, when I was teaching in Boston back in the 70s, I took it off a student. No big thing. I totally forgot we even had it. I was like, I was born in 78, so she'd been teaching about 70 to 80 in Boston. I'm like, okay. And my godmother goes, no. What your mother's not telling you is the fact that she and I were tutoring two students who had problems. My godmother was the therapist for the school and the guidance counselor. The two kids got into a fight in the middle of the classroom, and one of them pulled said switchblade on the other kid. My mother got between the two of them, and in a voice I can only describe as probably what Moses heard on the mountain, said very calmly, "Give me the knife." Now, my mother was not a particularly small woman, and I'm a very big guy. My brother was a very big guy. My father was a very big guy. She had no problem controlling the three of us when I was growing up. So I can only imagine what this kid suddenly realized. This knife's not big enough. So he turns the knife over to my mother, and my godmother is, in her own words, having an epileptic fit in the corner, horrified that my mother is about to be stabbed to death. And the kid just hands the knife over, and my mother goes, all right, now sit down, we're going to finish this, and you guys are going to work out and, get some help. Now she's got this knife. And she goes, well, I can't turn it in because I'll have to explain where I got it from. And if I do that, they're going to give everyone in the class, their search, and the story will come out. And I don't want to get this kid in trouble because he's just, a kid, he's got problems. My godmother says, okay, so she keeps it. Now, she can't throw it out because she doesn't want someone to find it. She doesn't want it to end up on the street or anything like that, so she keeps it. 13 years later, more than that actually, 23 years later, this thing's been floating around my house forever and a day. And the only thing that occurs to me is I'm 13 years old and I'm looking at this thing and thinking to myself going, we don't have a gang problem in this city, we should just turn her loose. Everyone would be turning in their handguns left, right, and center and just be like, no, don't yell at me anymore, Mrs. Sullivan, please don't yell at me anymore. But with Mother's Day having just passed, I was reminded of it because we still have the Switchblade. It sits in a lockbox where we keep all the insurance papers. And with tax time having just come around, I was going through all the papers and stuff, and I pulled the thing out and I looked at it and I'm like, oh, God damn it, my mother's haunting me. How did this happen? But so that's my Mother's Day story, and that's Mrs. Sullivan, the veteran of Boston Public Schools.